All right, so this is very exciting for me because I've known Nneka for a long time. And we first met because of the James Beard Foundation.
Yes.
But at that point, she was already doing her UN series.
Yeah.
And so, from there, I've had the opportunity to go to her events. She's produced events at the James Beard House. Definitely a pioneer in, pushing Caribbean food on the national and international stage. But, she comes from a construction background,
Yes.
project management, but still, and so, to give the bona fides, I'm small island people. She's big island people. She's done some really cool things. Like she actually produced a series that you can actually watch on Caribbean tradition. The fun part is, like, in the mix, she had my father come and tell stories, which my dad loves to do.
Loves.
And play with ingredients.
Yeah.
And so, I'm giving you all of that background to let you know that food is fun if you're not in it already. And even if you're in it, it can be very serious.
Yeah.
But, Caribbean people are the most unserious people you've ever met. Actually, no, Black people are the most unserious people you've ever met. But, with Caribbean people, we have parents that roast us. So we have to roll with those punches. So, the first question that everybody's asking is, why food? Why food?
Food. Food, because I always say food has no language barrier. So you don't have to speak you don't have to speak Spanish, you don't have to speak French. All you can speak is the first bite, it tastes good. So I came from, yes, I work in construction, but I came naturally from the entertainment space. So I worked with a lot of the artists in the concert scene, from reggae to soca. It was an amazing time I had there, but it's a lot of work in the entertainment space as far as getting that global respect that we deserve. I mean, we're still working on it,
We can talk about the immigration issues later.
Exactly. Yeah. But with food, it's a lot easier to, say, for instance, get a chef to get a H-1 visa to come up here and work in a restaurant stage for a couple of months. And I feel like the food is our identity, and it hasn't really gotten the true essence. Like, people haven't understood our food the way that they should. It's just always been this thing on the side, this romantic thing, like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to Grenada and get some oil down,
Who said that? Yeah. Only Grenadian would say that. Sorry.
Oh, now.
Right.
Yes. So, food, I just feel like people identify with food. It's an easier way to get in, is through food. That's not my end goal, but food was definitely the space that I felt I can come in and really get people's attention to move forward into the other things about our culture that I really want people to do. And honestly, it's taking us seriously. That's what I want. More than anything, we've mastered entertainment, we've mastered hospitality, but we've mastered so many other things too. And I feel like it's time for us to really stand up and say, we did this. We're not just here for your entertainment. Yeah.
So, you said a mouthful there. And what I find fascinating is that you found this lane, like Caribbean food, which oftentimes, at least before, people took as one whole thing. So you took a leap of faith, essentially, to get people who understand Caribbean food as one thing, to start essentially delineating the cuisine. And, what I want to talk about in that regard is, like, that series that started at the UN. So if you could tell us a little bit about how that came about.
And when I tell people that story, they're like, what? It came about through audacity. Honestly, it was 100% audacity. my mind was, what is the place that I can go to make the biggest noise with people who would engage? The UN. It's a place with every single country globally in the world who appreciates other cultures. That's just the ethos of the people who are ambassadors that work at the UN. Do they have a kitchen? Yes. Do they have a dining room? Yes. Okay, well, let me give them a call and see. I look to see what other things that they have done, and the Asian community is very prideful with their culture. And they had like this huge, they took over the entire UN when they had their New Year's. And I'm like, well, I know I can't do that. But as a culture, Christmas is a big thing for us. And around that time, all of the ambassadors, they go back home, like literally the second week in December, they're gone from the UN. So I was like, what if I hosted an event where we celebrate how we do in the Caribbean when it comes to the holiday cooking? Because that's when we show off, right? That's when we like the slow cook food. That's what you get at the holiday time. And I know that they would appreciate it. And I also know that the other ambassadors would appreciate it. And I went with the big islands, right? I did Jamaica for obvious reasons. You know, everyone is familiar with Jamaica. I did Bahamas because Bahamas has been so commercialized, but I do know that they have a food culture. And a lot of people are not familiar with the Bahamian food culture, which is amazing. Even though I am allergic to fish and it's very fish heavy, they have some good rice and peas, or peas and rice, whatever you want to call it. But that color is beautiful. So with the brand, I always want to bring things to people that they would never find out about. And Bahamian food was very important for me to kind of show people what the Bahamian culture was from a food aspect. And then Haiti. So for the entire week, it was Jamaica, Haiti, and Bahamas. And they came and they showed off their best food. And when I tell you, they loved it. They came every single day. The dining hall said that is the highest gross food event that they've ever had.
I'm not surprised.
Yes, for the entire week.
I am not
because
surprised.
they hardly go there. And it was packed because at first they liked the idea, but of course they don't know, they don't know my brand. So they gave me the small little dining room and they was like, oh yeah, now I ended up getting the entire dining room for the entire week. And then they gave it to me for the following year, where again, I like to give people education on our culture and our food. And that means going to the small islands. Mm-hmm. So the second year we did Trinidad and Tobago. We did Antigua and Guyana. And it was so nice to show Guyana because, again, if you're not of the Caribbean, you don't realize that we consider Guyana part of the Caribbean.
It's technically it's South America, but they're in the roster.
They're with us.
They got a parade they got a float in the parade.
They have a float in the parade. Exactly. So that year was very special because people are not familiar with Antigua and they are definitely not familiar with Guyana.
Right.
And I was very specific with the dishes. Like for the Guyanese one, we did metemji, and that's something that people are not familiar with. For Antigua, we did goat water, which is their version of Manish water from Jamaica, as well as their version of pepper pot, because in Antigua, they have their version of pepper pot that's not oxtail driven. It's more similar to oil down.
Look, you know how I feel about
I know that.
I know. Yeah.
But it was a great conversation because it allowed people to get more connected to the islands than what you experience on a vacation in an all-inclusive hotel, and that's it really started the conversation going. That was in December of 2019. We did the James Beard House in August of 2019 with Trinidad, Barbados, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yes, that was amazing. And 2020, we were ready. We were ready. We did the film for the 20 years from the Haiti's earthquake. Amazing. And then my father passed 2 days after my birthday, and then boom, COVID. So everything just came to a complete pause in 2020.
It's like a red line in that year.
Yes.
And also, I just think we got knocked into another timeline because
Yeah.
it's just gotten crazier every year. But, you know, you came back.
Yes. 2023. I came back after the grieving. You know, as a Caribbean person, a Caribbean daughter, the relationship that you have with the father, with your dad, is, you know, and what you see, the product that you see here, me, a lot of it came from my father. My dad is Trinidadian, and his father is Bayesian, and his grandfather is Bayesian. And the reason I know so much is because my father sit down and made sure I'm his only child, and I'm not a boy. So the last name is gone when I get married,
Right.
allegedly. Right. But that's the Jamaican in me, like, no, sir. We gonna do it different. Right. But my dad, like, he gave me the stories. He gave me the history. So when I start talking on the platform about food, it really is what my dad instilled in me. You know, my father he was friends with Stokely Carmichael. He was friends with Joffrey Holder. My dad was a dancer, you know, so he danced with Joffrey Holder and his brother in Trinidad.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like, I got that all from my father. And that's why I try to tell people it's so important to talk to your parents.
You find out how colorful they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
As an adult,
Yeah.
the conversations are easier.
Yeah, it's droning when you're a child.
Yeah.
You're like, that's not true. They
Yes.
tell you the most outrageous story, and you're like, that's
Right.
not true.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hit like 30, and like, yes,
Yes.
it is.
Especially the ghost stories, because, you know, in the Caribbean, they have a lot of those duppy
Right,
stories.
but in the Caribbean fathers are the warm parent.
Yes.
And our mothers are
The strict one.
the bad cop.
Mm-hmm.
And so Caribbean dads not only have the best stories because they
Yes.
add all kinds of strictness, but you know they also cook.
Yes.
They cook,
Yes.
and sometimes they have dishes that are better than mom's.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
But you know, Caribbean dads are, you know, they're keepers of that kind of the artistic part of the culture, I would say.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, you know, I want to get back to like your inspiration and how you came about all of this. And one of the questions that I've had for a very long time is because, you know, there's very limited information sources. Certainly it's gotten a lot better as the years have passed.
Yeah.
And particularly about Black people's food in general, but then about Caribbean food, you know, that this is a new development that people have access to that information. So, you know, I'm curious about what kind of research and how you found these chefs initially. And the reason being is because, you know, I know for a fact, for a long time, you know, even in the islands, the executive chefs of all those hotels were not any of us.
No.
Even though, you know, Afro-Caribbean people were going to the hospitality schools to be servers and work the line. But we were not the face of the kitchen.
Yes.
And that is a newer development. So you were finding these kind of these independent standout chefs at a time when that just wasn't even a thing. How were you doing that?
It was like Best Dressed Plate started Memorial Weekend. I had moved from Brooklyn to Jersey, and I was pissed because if you know Brooklyn Memorial Day weekend is shush or shine, and poor me was home. And I was like, you know what, let me start this. This is 2014, you know, hashtag, nobody knew about Instagram, like what, we didn't know. And I started to just Google some of these chefs at the time.
Before AI, guys.
Before AI, exactly. So I was Googling like Caribbean chefs. And one chef in particular, she's from Curacao. She kind of owns Caribbean chef, that hashtag. Like she like was on it from back then. She was from Curacao. But Jason Howard, he and I kind of started together. That's the man with the purple octopus.
Yes.
He does amazing.
One of England's best chefs right now.
Phenomenal, from Barbados. And he and I kind of was like toe to toe of just like, just literally Googling and finding these images of Caribbean food that are reimagined. And I was onto something. Then what I started doing is, because of the exposure that I had through my mother, who worked in the healthcare field, and if you know, with immigrants that came to this country, a lot of them worked in healthcare. And because they're small fish in a big pond, they find other fishes that have the same commonality, which are other Caribbean descendants and Africans. So they form bonds, they form friendships, which in turn would mean I would go to all of the parties. So I get to eat from her Costa Rican friend, I get to eat from her friend from Honduras, from Panama, from St. Vincent. And me, I'm always asking. So I'm like, oh, where's this? And da-da-da, you know, and I realized that a lot of the things that we eat in a Jamaican home, or what we've eaten in the Trinidadian home, conky, dunkano, and taya leaf, is like, oh, they have it here. So I would question the audience when I post the picture, like, hey, what do you call this in your country? And it started like a lot of conversations, like, oh, we call it this, we call it that. And then chefs would start to engage and start talking. I'm like, oh, who's that? And then I would go on their page and I start just looking at the stuff that they do. And I'm a social observer by nature. So I would stalk you for a good while to see your skill, to see your social skills as well, because that's important for me. Because as you said, I like to do storytelling in video as well. And I feel that's important for you to be able to tell a story because, like you said, fathers tell colorful stories. Caribbean people on a whole tell colorful stories. I mean, we've seen the memes with the ladies and the, you know, Wambakala with things.
Yes.
You understand, right? So, you know, these are some of the things that I look out for with chefs. And of course, how their food tastes, how they present. Personality is a big thing, but skill is also. I do not care how many followers. You can have 10 followers. I'm your biggest advocate.
I love that because, you know, that drives me crazy right now. You know, I, in more than one conversation, in more than one workplace, it's like, how many followers do they have? To me, you know, and I think you just expressed that ethos is that, you know, you have an opportunity to build a brand with someone. And that's kind of what you've done with so many chefs. Now, when you told those chefs what you wanted to do, what your vision was, what was the response? Was there generally a similar response?
Everyone was all on board. And the first set of chefs for the UN, I had a Haitian chef from Kansas City.
Wow. So
that was like, not Miami, not Boston.
Right.
What? Not Brooklyn, not Long Island, Connecticut. I said, no, we're in Kansas City. You know, so, and then I had a female chef, a female Haitian chef. That was big at the time because, you know, people were still apprehensive to eating Haitian food. And so I was like, no, y'all need to understand this. Like people living in Brooklyn, the Mecca, did not eat Haitian food.
She's correct.
Have never tasted Haitian food. I'm like, are you crazy?
No, just bigoted, quite frankly.
And that's what it was. And I'm like, listen, I'm telling you the food is good. And I'm also telling you, Trini people, the food is very similar to Trinidadian food. So watch, understand. And that's how I selected those two chefs. When it came to Bahamas, it was literally just me looking at Taste of the Islands, Taste of the Caribbeans, which is happening right now, where they have these teams from the different regions, they compete. And the Bahamian team blew me away. Like, you know, in the movie Sister Act 2, when the good chorus was there and they were like, dude, and then all the students like, oh shoot, they're like serious. That is, but let me tell you something. Bahamas.
I mean, I expected. They have a true hospitality culture, right?
Listen, I mean, they came like their tourism board, they got a car, they got them everything. I said, no, son, I gotta work with them. Cause they were just like, they were very professional. I loved that. So they came on board. And then Jamaica. Gary L. Ferguson, Mr. Pork in Jamaica. Like, he is the rib man. You understand? Like, he is the rib jerk. Like, that is him. He's like a staple. Chef Irie in Miami. Yeah. Like, he's just like another one. He was one of the first Caribbean personalities that was on PBS. Amazing. And then
He's
a young
cute too,
talent.
guys.
Yeah, he's handsome. and he was an architect. He was an architect. He went to Johnson & Wales for architect and just flipped his architect style into food. And an up and coming chef I had from Jamaica. And then again, because I like to build up, Picky, who everyone knows now.
He's cooking at the Beard House on Wednesday.
He came, he had the restaurant. And we had the conversation about, this was in 2017. I said, listen, Trinidadian food is about to be on the top. This was 2017. I said, and we really don't have anyone really talking about it. Mm-hmm. Let's do this. Let's rock this. I didn't think he was ready to be a Trinidadian chef, so I did not feature Trinidad for the UN, but I brought him in so that he can assist and see what it's like to do these kind of pop-up things at the UN. So he was there for the entire week. He soaked it up. And then that following year, he went to Haiti. Because I told him, I'm like, listen.
I was there.
Right. I'm like, go to Haiti, you need to go. And he thoroughly enjoyed it. And then that's when I said, okay, let's go. And he did the James Beard. And everyone just that James Beard was the first time Chef Renee worked with me, which was great. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yep. That was when I started to really pay a close attention to plant-based. Because our food is plant-based.
Right.
We don't do nothing special with the meat. We roast it, we fry it, we steam it, overcook it. Exactly. Yes. But we're plant-based.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm like, listen, who does it better than St. Vincent and the Grenadines? That is a fish island. It's fishery. You know what I mean? And the Garifuna influence that happened there.
Right.
So it's kind of like explaining to people that there's more islands in the Caribbean than Trinidad, Jamaica, and Barbados.
They're still struggling with that.
Oh, yeah, I know.
They're really struggling with that. But,
I know.
We got Rihanna out here letting them know that there's more than Bob Marley.
Exactly.
Right. And Marshall. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, what, in the beginning, ultimately, what was your vision for Best Dressed Plate?
My vision for Best Dressed Plate, was to be like a Food Network. Like a place for us to be ourselves in video form. Because I know that a lot of people go to the islands and enjoy the food, and they would love to come back home and try to cook it again. And at the time, we only had Chris from Caribbean Pot and Althea from Metem G. Yeah. They have some of the OGs that were there. But I felt like I wanted it to be this place that was like that food space, like the MTV for food. I kind of went backwards where I started doing events first. Right. But that was the original mission and goal, because that's where I came from. I used to read the news, the Caribbean news. Right. Yeah. So, and I used to read it like the Caribbean. So if you don't know how Caribbean people read the news.
It's the free paper that is in the bank.
And it's very animated, hello and welcome to, it's very animated. It is not what you see on Channel 7. I mean, they're like, and the guy spoke and he said, I was like, do I really have to say that now? He's like, yes. And I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, so I came from that space, right? So I wanted to take what I learned, and that was from a Guyanese. When I did the television stuff, it was through a Guyanese, this guy, Dexter Pembroke, who had music media, which was
I recognize that name.
Yeah. And
I probably have a cousin named.
I
have a cousin named Dexter because we all
do. Winston, Dexter, right. Donovan, Trevor, Andrew, Andre.
Some kind of posh English period.
Yes,
that's
of course.
The name, yeah.
Winston, I'm
sorry. Go on.
Yes. But it pivoted all the time, and now it's kind of like. I would love to make this into something like a James Beard for us. Right. But it won't be here. He'll be in the Caribbean because boy, cold. Oh, sorry.
Oh, come on.
It's cold.
Climate change is going to take care of that.
I know.
Take care of that. We don't like the cold.
No, we don't.
We do not like the cold, but yet we moved to Canada.
I know, right? But yeah, I think that's definitely the direction that I'd like to take with the brand, is the formalizing of it, right? Because now we're a trend.
Don't get me started
Yes.
about how I feel about certain things.
We are.
Right.
And it's so important to make sure that the people who have been putting in the work to talk about the culture and the food are getting the respect and the credit, right? Because you have people who are going out there and saying a lot of things that are not true
Exactly.
about the food and about the origins of it. And they have a bigger platform.
Right.
So because they have a larger platform, that makes it factual. And that's where I have a problem, especially when it comes to right now, because like I said earlier about what I said about Trinidadian food, you know, they try to correct themselves or give themselves a bly by saying my interpretation. Not bad with that.
Not just my interpretation.
No.
Oh, my granny was a this and a that. No.
No.
Was she cooking for you every day? No.
Exactly.
No. And you know what's funny is one of the first, like, you know, top tier, if you want to call it that, and I don't really like the way that sounds, but you know, visible Caribbean chefs that I met was Digby Stridiron. Who is
from St. Croix.
St. Croix, but his family is Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
And he had opened a restaurant. And I thought that was really amazing that he was able to do that, although his partner of a different hue kind of...
Well, it's the U.S. Virgin Islands, so
right.
you always have that.
So, you know, but the thing is that what I appreciated about that experience was that, you know, he kind of stood in, you know, being a Caribbean chef that cooks Caribbean food, like very clear where he got his inspiration from, very clear of where he grew up. Then there are other chefs who have all of a sudden 5011 Caribbean relatives.
Ancestry.com.
Right, exactly. And this is not to say, you know, I've had this conversation about how, you know, I'm grateful we live in a time where Black food is allowed to be many different things, because not that there's anything wrong with any aspect of Black food, but the kind of this flat Blackness in food is, I think, you know, doesn't respect us as a diaspora of many people who've had many experiences and many histories and many influences. Although we do have commonalities. For example, you'll find okra in every damn thing that we have. I really hate okra, just so you know. But it is there, right? It's a staple ingredient. It's a staple ingredient. Peanuts, some kind of yam, right?
Yams,
some kind of yam.
cassava.
So there are staple things, right? But, and you know, I think as a group, Black people collectively, we are the best at taking whatever is around us and making it delicious. And that is something that we all have very much in common.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't mean that we can't learn from one another.
No.
So, you know, when your brand is one of the first places, like on a broader scale, where I saw, wait a minute, Caribbean food can have distinctions.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's allowed to have distinctions.
Yes.
And, you know, when there's a reverse engineering of that, you know, I find that it detracts from, you know, the kind of the levels that you can reach. Because with Caribbean food, quite frankly, the ingredients, they're not here. Caribbean food should be more expensive than Italian food, quite frankly.
Right, because
and
of
I'm going to
the
ask you
ingredients.
where you source the things initially, because it can't be from Flatbush, right? So how do you feel about kind of the representation, the current representation of Caribbean food? You know, because I don't know if this is being recorded, so I ain't using nobody's names.
Is it being recorded?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I'm plausible deniability. What I'm saying is, how do you feel about, you know, this kind of essentially a reverse engineering of something that you were doing? Like, here's Caribbean food elevated, and here are the different lineages and lines. There's commonalities, but everybody's allowed to do their own thing. So now certain people have designated themselves like the arbiter of that, and essentially are, you know, compressing it to a degree.
Well, for one, I cringe when they always say Caribbean food elevated.
Right.
It's like, what does that mean?
Right.
You know, we are here. My mother's 80 something years old. You mean to tell me the food she was eating was not considered elevated? She's alive.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just reimagine. I say reimagine.
Right.
Because it still has the bones of what it was traditionally that was passed down.
It's just now it's pretty.
Exactly. You know, now it's lighter.
It tastes great.
Yeah.
Right? But, you know, on the plate, Caribbean food is not pretty, you know, in a lot of ways.
Yes, yes.
You know, but
Kalaloo.
Kalaloo is
Metamg.
Yes, these things are not beautiful.
They don't look great.
But I know my eyes light up when I see them because I'm like, it's going to be delicious.
Of course.
Yes.
Because, you know, and that's the thing, right? You were raised in it. And some people, you know, like I said, I poked at the ancestry.com situation. It's like, now I can use the fact that I found out that, you know, my aunt and aunt from back then is Bayesian. So now I can be the authority and say, this is how flying fish and cuckoo is made. And you have no real connection to it. You have no real story to it. And honestly, this generation, that's what they're seeking. They want to know the history because they want to feel a sense of authority too when they're speaking on these things. When they're in spaces where they're the only Black person, they want to be able to speak and speak with authority about it. But you have to be cognizant of the fact that if you were not a part of that, be a little bit more respectful about the conversations that you're going to go out there and speak on, because when you have that influence, they're going to take that and say, oh no, this is all it can be. And that's not true. You know, we've had conversations about this thing about doubles where people are adding meat to it. That is not, doubles isn't, if you want meat, get the flickin' roti.
Right.
That is it.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So now we've come to the point where we're going to do the geographical intellectual property. They did that for jerk.
That's great.
So we're going to do that for doubles. It's going to take a little while, but we're not going to allow, because doubles doesn't have curry in it. But when you have people with high influence that sees that this is trending, they put the menu out, they put the recipe out there. Guess what? When you Google it, what's going to come out? That.
I had a conversation with Todd Richards and Chef Stefan Berouet Duran about this on their show. About, you know, is there room for, you know, being inspired by? And my take was similar to yours, that, you know, if it's not from Kentucky, it's not bourbon. Right?
Right.
If it's not from Champagne, it's not Champagne. There's no reason why, you know, Black diaspora regions can't do the same. Obviously, somebody's going to, chefs are inspired by other chefs all the time. That's great. But calling something what it is not.
Right.
I think, you know, you as a person who, and I love this about, you know, some of us Black food influencers at this time, we're archiving our food, which is, you know, keeping the attribution for it so that future generations can find it.
Yeah.
You know? And so I really respect, you were, you know, one of the first to like, this is on the internet. This is, you know, this is on social media. Like, this is who did this. But, you know, this archiving of Black food and having it be what it is, and what, you know, not just that we recognize, our parents recognize, our grandparents recognize, so that our children and grandchildren can recognize. I think it's very important. It's very important in this space.
You know what? The other thing that I've realized, and it's not only in the food space, and we as overall as Black people, we do this a lot, is we seek validation from other entities. And it's like, once you get that validation, then it's like, oh, we've arrived. But someone like myself
I
saying,
think Caribbean people are the worst.
We
about
are
this.
the worst. The New York Times did the Haitian
oh my God.
And the Guyanese pepper. And everyone was so excited because the New York Times covered it, but it's completely wrong.
Because of an American person did
right.
it.
And that's what I'm fighting against. Like, you have to understand that, you know, being a Caribbean American, we got ridiculed like it was nobody's business. It wasn't nice. It wasn't fun. We were called African booty scratcher. You know, it wasn't fun. So when you have people who never ran through the mud, who never had to go through that, and now see that it's popular, and now they want to own it, it's hurtful when you don't know.
How do we fight against there can be only one? Because I see that it was like the Tyra or Naomi. So now we're in food and Caribbean food.
Yes.
How do we combat this? There can only be one. Like, do we? And I'm not talking about seeking validation, but certainly expanding one's platform is important. How do you, for example, help combat there can only be, one of us?
It's all about community for me. Like, I literally this morning came back from Puerto Rico, and the conversation there was, we want to come, we want to play with you guys. And they did that with me because last year at Barbados, I brought in a chef from Belize and a chef from Panama. You don't see us intermingling with the Spanish-speaking Caribbean. They're in the Caribbean. They want to play with us. Our voices get louder when we are more together in that community. And when I tell you, I couldn't walk in Puerto Rico without people pulling me and saying, oh my gosh, Nneka, we love Caribbean, we love Barbados. They're like, come. Listen, yesterday I had a dinner appointment for 7:30, and one of the girls is Somalia. She's like, we have a food festival, come. Pouring rain, your girl fell flat in the road. When I say flat, I mean like I was swimming, shoes going down. And everybody was like, they lift me up. The guy ran down the street to grab my shoe. Like, my wig was like, they was like, oh, mommy, don't worry. I mean, listen, we have to understand that people want to come and break bread with us. The community, the chefs, everybody wants it. They want to see us come together. So my little space, what I just try to do is show that don't listen to the hype of the media.
My little space. She's got 25,000 followers, but okay.
But don't listen to the hype of the media. Right. You hear, yes, we have an issue with reggaeton, but that's minor. Yes, the Dominican Republic have a little issue with Haiti.
A little?
I mean, it's
okay.
But when you go there, it's totally different from what the media tries to perpetrate what it is.
Exactly.
It's not that bad.
That's how I experienced Haiti, same year that Picky went.
Yes.
Growing up Caribbean in America, in Flatbush, they told you Haiti was a terrible, evil, awful place.
Exactly.
Even though your best friend and your best friend's friend were all Haitian.
Right.
For some reason, they were the worst. The country was terrible. I went there. One of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. I realize now is because certain people want to keep it all to themselves and buy up all the beachfront property.
Exactly.
But full of the most creative and artistic and poetic everything. And food is amazing. And if I lived there, I would be 1,200 pounds. Yes.
But that's the thing. It's those little things that if you're able to pull people together to kind of tell that story about the commonality in our foods, breaks the language barrier, then people would embrace it more and we become stronger if we're together. And I'm telling you, that experience for just 2 days in Puerto Rico, I realized they have such a love for the Caribbean, but they only go to USVI and BVI.
Right.
Because it's very close to them. So, and then their experience in the other region is in a cruise ship. Oh, yes, I went on a cruise. I'm like, really? That's not it. I was like, I know. They're like, I know, mommy, I know. So it's like, we want to go. I'm like, okay, we're going to get it done. But and that's the beautiful thing about food. It's like it has no language barriers. Right. It has no political barriers. None of that. I tell people all the time, in the Caribbean, you're not poor in food. You're poor in money.
Right.
But nobody goes hungry.
Yes, that right there. Nobody's going hungry. Yes.
No.
Yep. Everything grows everywhere, and your neighbors will feed you.
And your neighbors is going to feed you.
Yeah.
That's how we show love.
Yep. I believe it. Now, you're an international gal, not just, gallivanting around the Caribbean, producing festivals and whatever. You have made a mark in the UK.
Oh,
You've been doing a lot of work in the UK. Wow, how's the Caribbean food scene there as opposed to here in the United States?
so, so in England, it's very interesting how sometimes we have like this little battle here with the African Americans. In England, they have it with Nigeria and Ghana.
That makes sense.
But the food scene for them, it's definitely different because of the access to the ingredients. They
Right.
don't have the access to the ingredients. So the flavor profiles are very different. If they get access, it's very expensive. So the chefs have to be extremely creative. The ingredients that they get is more catered towards, West Africa flavors.
Okay.
The closest thing they're going to get is the Scotch bonnet.
Right.
So the flavor profile is different, but the sense of pride that is over there is beyond. And they're fairly new with this freedom that they had. You understand, like in the 80s, from the 80s, they were still dealing with a lot of prejudice and racism in England. It was bad.
I mean, Brexit was like, y'all been here for 50 years. We sending you back.
Sending you back
Right.
after Windrush. Yeah, the Windrush. I did the Windrush dinner, and again, people didn't even know what that was. But it was an eye opener for a lot of the people that came to the dinner because they don't know the story of Caribbean people in the UK, what that was like for them. It was very hard. It was extremely hard. And when you look at stories like Babylon and Fire, the cricketers, the West Indian cricket team.
Watch Small Axe. Yeah.
They deal with racism
Yeah.
heavy in the UK, and I have the most respect for them.
This is why I love Black people so much, right? You hear in the United States, all the fun parts of American culture come from Black American people. In the Caribbean, including the Spanish-speaking Caribbean, all the best parts come from Black people.
Yep.
England, you would not know that it's like less than 5% Black. I think it's like 2% Black.
Yeah.
And yet, like they're in everything, everywhere. On the TV, there's always like 2 or 3, like it's just much more visible.
Right.
Right. So, I'm excited to hear that you have one chef there who is, what's his name? Michael, what's his name? Who's got Michelin stars over there. Then you have Jason, who just won another award.
Kareem.
Yes. And, I just find it fascinating.
Michelle, your Grenadian
yeah,
girl.
they're still making it. They're making their mark over there. This is how we are.
Yeah. I mean, here, just like here in Brooklyn, we did the dollar cabs, right? In England, do you know the Jamaicans created pirate radio?
Right. Which has my favorite genre of music came from.
Right.
Drum and bass. Yes.
From England. And then we adopted it over here.
Yeah.
That's why that song, "Them a call us pirates," that came from England with the pirate radio station.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So
I just find it fascinating that where we land, we essentially move the culture.
yes.
But move the culture, I think it's because the way we do it is most translatable through music and food.
And aggressive.
Right.
I mean,
Well,
but with Talawa.
Yes.
We're aggressive.
Yes. So they got to know about the Shatta's dinner. That's yes. So she had a dinner that is based on the movie Shatta's. You need to tell them about it.
So February is Reggae History Month, and the Caribbean tradition is always a theme. And that theme was Dancehall Queen and Shatta's, like 2 of my all-time favorite movies. And I had a Guyanese chef and a Jamaican chef that coursed the whole entire menu. And it was such a time because I really, for my dinners, I don't tell anybody what to expect. When you get there, And for that dinner, we had them read some of the famous lines from the movie. And, they don't know.
Literally get up and read them
Yes.
in between courses.
In between the courses.
Yes.
And, I told them they had to put on their best accent. And it was everybody loved that dinner, especially the last part. If it's anything about me, I love nostalgia. And going to Jamaica for the summer months, I remember box lunch. That was a big thing. And the last piece was a fried chicken. And everybody got a box. And when I tell you, people's faces lit up when they opened up that box and they saw in there the chicken, like whole fried chicken with the sauce. Ain't nobody eat it. They took it home. They was like, no, son, I'm gonna eat this with my clothes off, and I mean,
Yes, with the belly out.
with
and
the
everything.
belly out.
Just as an aside, if you next time you go to the islands, you make sure you go to the KFC.
Yes.
It'll be the best KFC you've ever had.
And that was kind of the remnants of that particular course, was the Kentucky Fried Chicken / the box dinner. Because in the movie Dance Hall Queen, there was a scene where Uncle Larry bought Kentucky Fried Chicken for the girls, and the girls played with the mother, telling them that they ate all the chicken, and she was so upset because she's like, it's like Kentucky, I'm a favorite, So it's like those things. So when you come to the dinner, like, even if you're not of Caribbean descent, what you're gonna end up doing is go home, Google, and then you're gonna like, oh, okay, that was so sweet. Like, that's what it does. And I think that's how you know that you've impacted somebody.
Right.
And you've had them say, now I wanna learn more. It's not just a show. As you're saying, you have some chefs today that recognize it's a trend, and they're just like trying to jump on the trend. What I try to do is give them the story to just get them involved, and then they go home and they want to learn more. Like I spoke about the Windrush dinner. That dinner, we had a chef that came from England who did the entire dinner, and people were so amazed. They had no idea that in England, their national dish is an Indian dish. Caribbean people influenced the food because all they had was meat and potatoes.
British food sucks.
It was
own.
nothing. And how I knew that,
Thank
was
God for
through talking to
colonization.
my aunt. Exactly. Yeah, when we came, my aunt told me, she's like, Nneka, we used to put coal in anything for heat in England. And she said the weekends was the time when they would put on their best outfit, steam it through the shower, and go to a party. And they would dress up, and that was like the time that they had the best time. That was their moment in England. But she said the food was horrible. It was cold, and they were
unseasoned.
They had nothing. And then they had some people that would come on the other ships, because my aunt didn't come on the Windrush ship. She came a year later. And through writing letters and telling them, beg you can't bring some this, bring some that. They ended up getting some of the time. Like, these things that we take for granted now,
Right.
They were not easily accessible to these people, even here in the States. I told people when we talked about seasoning, and I'm like, Jamaican food don't cook with green seasoning. We cooked back in the day with Lawry's, salt, Gravy Master. That was it. And they're like, Gravy Master? I'm like, yeah, that's what we used to cook. All these things that we have today, we did not have back then. So that's why, like, when I see certain things, I'm like, no, that's not how it was done, because I know, because I saw how my mom cooked. I saw how my aunts and them cook. And it was a very simple thing. It wasn't all this extra stuff. It was very, very simple.
Yeah. Delicious. I got a question for you in the
Then we got to wrap it up.
Yes, but the real question I think a lot of people have is, if we had to pick 3 chefs to watch right now, which 3 would you pick?
3 chefs. Damian Reed, he's based in Barbados. John Harris, he is in California. He's the executive chef for Linden Restaurant. And Nathan, between Nathan and Michelle out in the UK. Nathan is the executive chef for Jam Delish, which is a vegan forward restaurant in the UK. Amazing. And their influence, he's Jamaican, Bajan, and Guyanese. And then Michelle, she's Grenadian, and she's doing some amazing things out there in the UK. And I believe she's with Future Plates. Look up Future Plates. Future Plates, they're African and Caribbean chefs. They're kind of like Best Dressed Plate in a way, but they're very much more event driven. She's a part of that group as well. And also Kurth Gums. Okay. He's from Anguilla. He's so eclectic. He has like a nose ring at the end, but he's freaking like, he's the shit. Like, he is like, he's really, 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 really good. And In the New York area, because I got, I'm here in New York. I got a rep for New York. In the New York area, Renee Blackman, all the way, 100%. She's not a classically trained chef, but my God, what this woman is doing is beyond. Like, I love what she's doing. And then we have some people now that's coming into the Caribbean space. You have Kamari, who's now Kamari and Sticks, who's doing things
She
from
got
savory,
her own restaurant.
from sweet to savory, which I'm excited to see how that goes along. And of course, we have Miss Shelly Tunda in here, who's doing. She's a force. She makes her presence known. And then when you taste her food, you're like, yeah, she talked that talk and she walks that walk, for sure.
That's not me.
Yeah.
I'm like an old lady. I'm like, my phone the ringer is always off.
Like,
but when
what?
it rings, I'm like, is it me?
Is it me?
No,
Yes,
no.
yes.
So, in closing, like how, since you're trying to make a food network for us, how can we, as an audience, as people in the food space, how can we support that, that goal point of your vision? How can we support you, essentially moving into being the food network of Caribbean food?
I think to support me is to support the chefs and the brands that I support. That's it in a nutshell. The brands and the chefs that I'm trying to bring visibility to, support them. Like that's all I can ask for anyone, is just to support these brands that I'm trying to push out there. Some of them are well known. And it's hard. You're seeing where it's like a lot of you're seeing that people have the money for PR and, to paint this picture. But you have people who are super duper talented. They may not have the finances to get the PR and to get the write-ups, but that doesn't discredit what they can do. So please trust that any brand that Best Dressed Plate puts on our platform, it's a vetted brand that you can, go to, buy their foods, attend their events, support. That's the biggest thing for me.
Thank you. All right. So now is the fun part, right? Questions.
Yeah, let's take a question.
Oh, I thought you guys did great. Honestly, I just love your word choice. A lot of times we struggle in this space with language and identity and AKA talking points. So we do get these platforms. We do get these moments. So I think you guys just articulated it so well. I think you used the word like attribute. What did we cheer about? Me and you were looking at each other. I thought it was great because it doesn't alienate anyone. And one thing about being Jamaican, out of many one people. And I think you guys really did a great job speaking on that. And I just thank you for that, because I always learn and I get more language and I sound better, and just thank you for archiving the stories of us. It's very, 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 I think it's my first time ever hearing you speak as much, No, I know, but every time I've been around, we've been in work mode. So it's just like, I just love this. So just thank you guys for giving your time and just your authority and your narrative. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna do some talking, but yes, no, it's nice being a Black American or Black born in America, because it's a whole different context. But yeah, language is important, and also seeing this agency and seeing what you guys are, you're talking about what you've been doing, and just actually us just having been in the Bahamas and just really what you're working to do. It's just important. But I'm just glad that you're in this space and creating that, because it's needed just across like the board, and we're not seeing enough of that. And if we're not doing it, no one else is going to do it. So thank you for your contributions.
Thank you.